welcome back to the Pelcast podcast after our hiatus for the last few weeks. We're back today with a great episode. We feel it's certainly a fantastic talking point across the League of Ireland and across Irish football as a whole. And it's called the Great League of Ireland Rebuild, which is focusing more on facilities and stadiums around the country. Obviously, with the success of Tala and the Brandywell Stadium, the Aviva Stadium as well in 2007, we've seen that it can be done, but there is so many other teams in the country that need it to be done for them. And with the news coming out this week with the likes of Dalymount and Finn Park, the showgrounds, Athlone Town, all of these places being given the green light to get a rebuild, we're looking at what the potential is for the League of Ireland in this side of things. But first of all, lads, how are we getting on? Bill, how are you?
Nice to be back. Like I said, we take more breaks than a fucking teenage fucking relationship, but that needs to be sorted.
Jack, how are you?
Ruben
Grand,
Ireland
yeah.
first.
Yeah, we've gotten all right, like, can't complain.
Fantastic. It's good to have, yeah, good to be back, as Bill says. And we'll just jump straight into it, I suppose. You look at the rebuilds that are currently ongoing and the ones that have been approved at the moment. The main one, I think, is the biggest one would be Dalymount Park. Reconstruction is underway. They've knocked down the Connacht Street stand and put in the mono stand. They've taken away the roof from the Des Kelly stand, and I think they've started cleaning up around the Fibs end stand. So it is something it's exciting times for Bohemians. Obviously, with the news that Talca Park is also looking like it's going to be bought by Shelburne. It's a fantastic, fantastic start to life and to things going this way. And I mean, what are we thinking about Dalymount as a whole? It's obviously fallen into disarray. It's been half defunct for the last God knows how long, and it's something that really does need to happen. What are our thoughts about it, lads?
It's great to see it. I think even just the mono stand in general, that came out at the start of the year. It's just like, even going up, we were up there, we were 15 minutes, and going up, like, it's so simple how easy it is just to make your better with not something temporary. Like, you're going there, you have the attendance, I don't know how much, probably 2,500 is probably in Dalymount now, probably more even, because you can stand behind the goals, but like, it's just the atmosphere in general went up a lot better because you have a roof as well. Create a bit of an atmosphere in the way end with roofs and all. I think it's good. Like, and daily, whenever that gets done up, the plan to be an 8,000 seater, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 8,000, and then with the view to expand if possible.
Like that's mental. Like, even teams like Safe Dundalk or Drogheda is doing well, or Pats, or anyone really can go there for Europe instead of going to Tala if it's quicker. Like, it just provides so much relief, and you can even host concerts in that. I'd say, like, small concerts or just anything really, like live shows or whatever. It's good to see it in general, though. I think Daily meant it's a shithole. Like, I know that's coming very ironic coming from me, but like like it needs to be done, and they're getting it done, which is better than what we're doing at the moment, keeping them out shut after 2 years of plans.
Yeah, Bill, what are your thoughts? Obviously, you haven't been to Dalymount yourself, but it is obviously a very famous stadium in Ireland, and it's something that has so much history, and it's important to keep it kind of up to standards and things like that. But what would be your views on it as a whole?
Yeah, look, as I said, I'm not gonna pretend like I know as much of the ins and outs of all the League of Ireland stadiums, just from the point of view of actually being to them like he have. But what I will say is, like, when you look at our attendances each week and the place are selling out, in spite of the facilities, because let's be honest here, the facilities leave a lot to be desired. Even Turner's Cross, which is considered one of the better stadiums in the League of Ireland, the toilet facilities are non-existent if you listen to the Three Amigos podcast about the whole time. So, like, like, it's good to be seeing some sort of development into different grounds in the league, whether they are historically big grounds in Irish football or they just historically or newer grounds, like, I don't know, Mount Talk Park is a new League of Ireland ground. Like, it, we need every single ground. It's like the referees, like, they're playing at that one and as Duff said, they're playing at that here. the grounds in the stadium country are here. They need to come up to a certain standard because it's all well and good saying we're selling out stadiums every week, but that's not a good like if we're not maximizing our actual revenue, then we're at nothing now. Like because strike while the iron's hot because the crowds won't might not always be there if we don't start providing correct facilities and improving the match day experience on the whole because people are fickle, I suppose. But yeah, on the whole, it's good to be seeing Bowls stadium investment, even though I don't like Bowls.
But just a question,
Yeah,
actually, how much does Tickman total now? Do you know?
daily amount. I think it's 3,500 now.
3,500.
Because I think
Wait,
the Jody hall's what two and a bit thousand, isn't it? And then the Des Kelly stand because it's now all home fans. You can actually go in there now, and they don't actually have to half the stand to keep the fans away from each other. I think that holds in and around 500, and then the new mono stand I think is
the new
four
model
hundred and
stands.
fifty.
The only flaw I think with that, it doesn't hold 450. It looks always, even when we were up in a wee full bit, but you could barely move in it. I think
Yeah,
they're overselling that a bit. I think it's probably about 300 if you don't want to be fucking in a squish.
yeah, I get you.
But no,
Yeah,
it's good to see though.
yeah. I mean, look, it's absolutely positive. It's fantastic to see it. As you say, it's something that has needed to be done for years, and obviously the whole thing with shells being moved in there as well is looking like it's going to be stopped as well because I was just reading in the Irish Times earlier on. As of March, it was reported that there's a verbal agreement between Shelburne and the Dublin City Council. It was confirmed by Dick Shakespeare on the 3rd of March that a seven-figure sum will be paid by Shelburne to Dublin City Council to buy Talca Park back from the council. And it just means that they can then look at getting Talca rebuilt. Obviously, we ripped the piss out of the Save Talca Park things and, it's a shithole anyway, just knock it down. But for me personally, as someone who's got family from Drumcondra, I think it is such a massive ground in terms of culture in Irish football and the you know just the historic value of having these places. You look at it. I think Bill, you put something out on the Irish football blog Twitter. It was in Dream Team back in 2003 or four or whatever it was, and it's just one of those grounds that no matter how much I hate Shells or dislike the club and the fans and things like that, Talca Park is such a massive ground in terms of history in this league, and it is something that needs to be kept and preserved. And I think I think I saw there was a I can't remember who it was exactly, but I think it was a Chelsea fan on Twitter was talking about the idea of leaving Stamford Bridge and Man United leaving Old Trafford, and it was like football grounds should be exempt from any sort of rebuild planning permission. It's like rebuild, yeah, absolutely, modernize 100%. But the idea of knocking down a football stadium with everything the football means in the world at the moment, and you look at it, I think after COVID as well, it really does show how important like football can be to people, to the communities, and the culture and things like that. So it's so vital to have these kinds of grounds kept and maintained and modernized and fixed. And like Talca and Dalymount, I mean, these are places that have held international football in the past. It's such a fantastic opportunity now to have these two grounds in the north of Dublin, in North City of Dublin, where you'll have, forget about your Sporting Fingals and your, Irish CFC and all this kind of crap. It's so important to have Shells and both in Dublin City. Like whatever about slagging the Shells about being a Southside team, they're based in Drumcondra now, and it's important to have them there. So having these two stadiums revamped and rebuilt and reconstructed, it's going to be huge for the League of Ireland. It's going to entice people to come to the grounds. It's going to give a massive boost in terms of like crowds and away crowds. People want to go there to see it for the first year, and if it's maintained well, then we're gonna see a fantastic change in the culture in Irish football and the attitude towards the League of Ireland.
It's great to see the nice words for your local club as well, Shelburne. Just picking up on that. Lovely words for your local team. But like, I agree with you there. Like, you don't want to be obviously a forgotten club, just the way reference. But like, I think talk. I think talk.
Reference to what exactly? What's that a reference to?
Look, I can't go into it personally. I don't want to be. I don't want to be the end or added on Instagram stories or
Joe,
nothing. But
he probably will listen to this because he's a wanker.
hello, fella. But yeah, no, but no, Tokyo's in a good need to work with. But like, you can say that for every ground. There's a lot worse than Pats getting Richmond Park getting done up. Literally everywhere apart from Dundalk in the last 10 years, there's been plans of going forward. I tweeted it there the other day about Oriel putting up a redevelopment plan in July of 2021, I think. That a team with local councillors and just it's really relevant though now, but it's 2 years on and there's only been one meeting across Zoom. They haven't even met in person to discuss it. And then plans out 2 years ago, like it's a disgrace, like what's happening. Like with some clubs, like obviously the likes of I know it's obviously handier for grants and all and get stuff done if you're in a big council. I know Loud County Council have a new Gaelic stream going up and all, but the fact that Dundalk can't even get a bit of help for nothing, which I'm not saying they need, they probably spent the money stupidly with signing big players like during fucking the Filippo era and Vinny Perry or Jim Gilton, whatsoever, signing big sign on fees and all. They could have been put into redeveloping the ground or even just keeping it up to the standards of the league, which is poor. Like,
Yeah,
just going
I
on.
remember. No, yeah, absolutely, you're right, Jack. To be fair, like I remember in 2013 when Drogheda qualified for Europe and we had the 3 cup finals, and obviously we lost that 3, but it was a great year and we got a fair whack of money. I think that was the year that wasn't a PSG and Man City got fined for financial fair play, and the money was that money was distributed across every team that competed in Europe in 2013-14 season. But the thing about it was the reason why, well, allegedly, I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, I wasn't there, but the reason why Mick Cook left Drogheda was because he wanted to use the money to build a squad and to improve the squad and to push the club forward on the pitch, whereas the board wanted to push the club forward off the pitch. And I don't know where that money went, and it's one of those things that it's something that has to happen. The 2 Louth clubs are the prime example.
I'd love to know answers personally where that Europa League money went in 2016. I know obviously players got bonuses. Like we got the guts of 6-7 million euro. I don't know how much we stole, but I know those installments. I know those installments, but the FA gives them off, which is unfair. The FA get hold of most of that money for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But like, what do we have to show for that? We've new toilets and these real murals.
And those toilets are like the toilets in the away end are vile.
Yeah, it's a fucking joke though. Like we've nothing to show for it. We've a plastic pitch there that could have been dug up, and that's in a lot of controversy now with injuries with Brandywell, with a report coming out from there. Like that, I'm not going to quote who done it because I don't know. I'm just going off the top of my head, saying since they put down a plastic pitch in 2017, they had more injuries than beforehand in Brandywell, and I'd imagine that we're getting a few injuries more recently over the years, and the fact that we're not even trying to maintain the pitch, there's no one out. Today, Harry Darcy's told us to go out and like scrape down the pitch or whatever, try to like resurface that stuff you get me so it doesn't clunk up and water it down. I don't think any of that's happening anymore. Like thing is with the Dundalk, you need to make we have shite facilities, everyone knows that. It's 2 shitholes of grounds that no one likes going to as such. It's a good compact ground with Drogheda, same with the Dundalk, like they're both tough places to go, but like you have to make the best out of what you have, and I don't think any of them are utilising it to their best ability. Like I think that's well from the dog's point of view, we're not utilising Oil Park to the best. Like just their parents shocking and heavy. And I understand why RT don't come down half the time when they don't have to.
Yeah, well, see the thing about like with United Park or Weavers Park or whatever you want to call it, it's United Park at the end of the day. But for like when you look at it, the pitch in United Park is always in immaculate condition. There's no debate about that. It's always the groundsman he does incredible work, or the groundsman team, they do incredible work on the pitch, and it's just a shame that the stands are just in bits, and that's the problem. And I actually have written down here that the 4 grounds I feel need to be done up the most, and that would be Drogheda, Dundalk, Wexford, and Bray, in terms of the ones that haven't got concrete plans in place to get them redone. Because I was looking at, obviously Finn Harps are looking at having their ground redone for the last 10, 15 years. The Donegal Community Stadium looks like a fantastic idea, and everything about it, everything. Yeah, I was looking at the 3D model of it today, and it looks incredible. It looks absolutely fantastic. You look at what Sligo have announced this year in March was plans for a new stand, increasing the seated capacity from 4,000 to 6,000, which brings it up to a UEFA Category 3 stadium, which means that they'd be able to host Europa Conference League group games.
The groups as well.
Yeah, I think it's 6,000 for groups. That's huge. That's huge. That's fantastic. And then you look at Athlone in February this year announced that they're putting in a new 2-story building on, I think it's Brawny Road is the name of the road, which is the road just outside where you actually come into the stadium. Where it's going to Athlone. Okay, so they're putting in a new 2-story building with, there's going to be a fitness suite, changing rooms, a new terrace below it, as a covered balcony from the top floor of that 2-story building. And that's down to the women's team mainly in Athlone, because they've managed to bring in such a massive fan base. But it's, you got to look at the success stories that we have in the league as well. You look at Tallaght Stadium, which is a fantastic ground. They've got the fourth stand going in there. I think they should have filled in the corners as well, personally, but that's just my opinion. You look at, I know, obviously the Brandywell, like the pitch is a point of contention, but the stand is fantastic. I wish it went all the way around the stadium, but that's obviously not what they could do for the time that they were getting it rebuilt in 2017. You look, even if you want to go for a grander scale, I mentioned at the start of the episode was the Aviva. When they knocked down Lansdowne Road, they turned the pitch, they turned the Aviva Stadium into one of the most modernized stadiums in the world, and now next year we're hosting a Europa League final, again for the second time. So these are all things that are being put in place that are fantastic for Irish football, but still there's clubs that are lacking behind. I mean, I've heard nothing about Galway. You hear nothing about the Markets Field being redone. Obviously, Mount Hawk Park is looking incredible.
Galway's grand. They've what they need.
Yeah, you don't really hear anything about them looking to rebuild it. Then you got this, obviously, the City Collins Stadium in Longford. All these grounds could still do with being redone and being rebuilt, and like not knocked down and rebuilt from scratch though. Like, you can build onto them, or you can improve things and put a roof over the heads of the away end. It's something that needs to be done.
Bishopsgate is unreal. If they just put roofing over, like, they're probably one of the best areas in the country if they put roofing over everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even the there, Bishopsgate.
Bishopsgate.
Very nice stadium.
Yeah, Longford, the City Collins Stadium.
Yeah. They received. There's a story in RT from 2022. League of Ireland's clubs welcomed a sports grant of up to 300,000 that would go towards crucial infrastructure, training ground, and stadium development work. The clubs that received that are Bulls, Finn Harps, Sligo, Bray, Cove, Langford, and Drogheda, and Athlone. So we mentioned Bray and Langford about doing things with Drogheda, maybe. But like, I don't know where that money's actually gone, and has anything ever been said about where it's gone? So like,
the thing that
I don't
falls
know.
down to, in my opinion, is we take Dundalk and Drogheda, right? I know Dundalk obviously had a more successful spell than Drogheda, but two successful spells, and decide to reinvest in the team. But you see, the good times don't last forever. Like, Drogheda haven't won a league or cup since 2008, is it?
We won the league in 07, won the EA Sports Cup in 2012.
Oh, the EA Sports, I mean FAI Cup, sorry.
Yeah, so the FAI Cup was 2005, and the league was even Champions League football.
So you went through 15 years, or you went through a good 10 years at Europe now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dundalk now, I know we're back in Europe, but we went 3 or 4 years without a league title. We won't win it this year. Like, what's that money to show for now? The money that was brought in. I know you have a good few years, but them good times don't last forever. And now you're left with one of the worst 2 grounds in the country. And like, both teams they're not financially, well, they're financially stable, but they're not in a position where they can build something or redevelop without getting a grant, which isn't likely either.
Yeah.
It's just it's not a disgrace as such, but I think it's a disgrace with Dundalk more than yourself, like, because the amount of money that was in that club for years, and they didn't put a tap into it. They didn't even buy
Yeah,
Royal Bar.
Is there something engraved in the Irish mentality and our Ireland Football Club mentality that we're not used to actually having money, that when we get it, we're physically incapable of actually spending it in an efficient manner?
well, that sounds like me on a personal level, I suppose. But no, I mean, like, you look at it, like, I bring back the Aviva Stadium. Like, I'm just looking at it here. We obviously we've put in that bid with the UK of, hosting the Euro 2028, which we only have, when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, the Republic of Ireland as a footballing nation have been to the World Cup quarter final, albeit what 33 years ago. We were in a World Cup quarter final. We've never not gotten to anytime we qualify for the World Cup, we qualify for the knockout stages. We've been to the Euros 3 times. We've been to 3 World Cups, and we're a country that has often punched above our weight, but we only have one stadium worth talking about in terms of let's host the World Cup. Even when you look at up the north, they can't host the Euros in their own ground, so they have to use Casement Park. It's incredible. And you look at the facilities that we have with the GA. I know obviously there's a lot of contention there. You look at Park Equive, we have, obviously Croke Park, and there's so much better grounds across the country that are being properly used. And I always bring it back to it.
You know why that is?
The GAA used the money. But the GAA used that money cleverly. It's like, as much as I have a dislike for the GAA as an organization, they use that money correctly. I'll bring it back to the St. Anne's example. So St. Anne's Park in Dublin 3, it's a park well known for its football pitches and its GAA pitches, right? So Clontarf GAA club play there, and Clontarf Football Club play there, and the pitches are next side by side, no more than 5 meters away from each other. But if you look at it, the GAA pitch is floodlit. It has nets up behind the goal so the ball doesn't go flying away when you score a point. It's constantly cut in perfect nick. It has groundsmen. It has changing rooms. It has a fence that goes around the goal so kids can't play in the goal mouth. It's got everything, and then you walk 5 meters away from it, and it's one of the worst football pitches you'll ever see. It's bobbly. It's lumpy. The goals are in bits. There's tape hanging off the goals from people hanging nets on them. There's like I reffed the game there last year, and the pitch was flooded. There was literally a flood. We had to take the nets down and move them to another pitch in St. Anne's so that we could, actually get the game fulfilled. But you look, as I say, 5 meters away, the GAA pitches are in incredible condition. They're never not in good condition. So something has to be done from an FAI level. Something has to be done. And I'm not here to blame the FAI, by the way. The FAI or Ireland football, they've obviously done a lot wrong, has to be said, but the clubs have to be held accountable as well. Like Clontarf GAA club constantly have someone out there fixing up that pitch. And the football clubs don't do it. And it needs to be done, because otherwise we're just going to fall even further behind.
Do you know what I was watching last night, actually, on topic of just stadiums and all? I was watching, they was on, what you call that YouTube channel? HITC Sports or Sevens, it was on one of them. It was Wimbledon coming to Dublin, actually, in the early 90s, was it? It would have been early 90s, I think.
Oh, here we go. This is Bill's. This is Bill's.
Yeah, there's Bill's dream here. But anyways, they're talking about, was it building a 40,000 seater stadium outside Liffey Valley now? I was watching that, I had it on the background, kind of in and out of watching it. I was manager and I listened to it in the background. But the state of that, they came over and the FEI got a grant for them. Whoever the head of the FEI, I can't remember. Harn was he Taoiseach at the time? I don't know. He was something to do with the grant. But they were getting given a grant to build a 40,000 seater stadium for an English team to come over and play in Ireland and join the Premier League. And they wouldn't give a touch to most of the clubs to it. And that was Ireland's most successful spell as a footballing nation. And League Ireland clubs weren't touched with money, weren't giving fucking nothing. So
yeah, but Jack, the reason why that was the reason why we were so successful is because we had so many players playing at the top level of English football.
I know that, but at the same time, like money then, like the FAI, like Ireland were in a good position where they were doing well in international tournaments, they were doing well, they weren't even rebuilding Lansdowne at the time, like they'd probably money sitting there, but all the money from the government goes to GAA, doesn't it? Like most of the sport grants and all, if the GAA clubs, like if you look at Dundalk, for example, I played with Clan Gael. They are for Gaelic for about 10 years in Dundalk. They had a better ground than any football team I played with in the schoolboy league in Dundalk. Or maybe one or two. Or Rock Celtic, I'd say. They're probably the better Glenmuir, they're two of the better teams in Dundalk with facilities. But like that's even in small towns. Like Gaelic grounds, I could name 5 Gaelic grounds on top of my head that have better facilities than schoolboy league teams. Like that all comes from the grants getting pushed down through grassroots compared to the GAA. That's one thing the
Yeah,
GAA do right, as you said, like you're saying in Dublin with Clontarf and the football team beside it. Like Gaelic is just a lot more of a professional setup for an amateur sport, which is kind of ironic the way that the football's professional and the Gaelic's not. Like,
but it's not really an amateur sport though. It's an amateur sport officially, but
yeah,
how
like
many players
yeah.
get jobs through the sport, or how many players get sponsorships through the sport, and
No,
how many
I
players?
know that, I know that. I'm just saying, like,
They're
like if
better
you
paid
look
than the
at
League of Ireland players, like.
no, I know that. No, I'm just saying, it is down as an amateur sport. It's not an elite level sport as it was. Remember,
I
COVID came.
absolutely, yeah.
That's what I
I
mean. That's
mean,
the comparison. But like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's mad.
yeah. But in all fairness, sure, Jack, me and you are paid better for doing this podcast, and most League of Ireland players are paid for playing, and
Very
I
that's
true.
saying
fucking
something.
wish.
But no, I mean, yeah, it's all really interesting. It's obviously just this. We don't want to be pointing fingers at people and playing the blame game. We're here to talk about positivity in the league, and the positives are Dalymount is being rebuilt. Talca Park is being bought back. The Donegal Community Stadium is on the verge of being actually built after years of being pushed back. Sligo have announced that they're going to have a new stand. Athlone are building a new stand in their ground, and it's you already look at the success stories, as I've said, Tallaght Stadium and the Brandywell, the Ryan McBride Brandywell. So there is a lot of positivity to be talked about in this on this subject, and it is just constantly the negatives coming out aloud, and it is unfortunate for us, Jack, that it is our clubs that are being talked about. But it is something
Look,
that needs to be looked at. Yeah, Bill, go ahead.
look,
Sorry, yeah,
look. I'm loving positivity here, but just get back to just before we go and change tack a bit. The fact of the matter is that the GAA and Ireland football, or the FAI, whatever you want to call it, are both a recipient of public funds and taxpayers' money. Albeit the GAA might use their money more correctly, they also receive a lot more of it. Now, the GAA runs a very different. Well, they're based. They're not. They run GAA is a winter sport, soccer is a summer sport, and so they don't run their leagues at the same time of year. You can go into as well mention the IRFU. We just mentioned the GA and soccer thing. Both associations have their own ground regulations. So even if we wanted to have our own World Cup bid or Euro bid, the likes of Parky Queeve and them wouldn't actually fulfill the UEFA regulations. Now that's another story. But there has to be a conversation in this country where you look at both associations and say, we run different seasons, off seasons, let's work together. And the government could put it to them. And I'm not a fan of government, and I'm not a fan of government outreach. But if the government puts them to go, you're both a recipient of funds from the public, sort out a relationship between yourselves that works for both associations, that will grow both associations, or we'll pull some funds. Like that's what you're gonna have to do because there's an insecure attitude in this country and across all associations where we're afraid to actually work together because we'll take the best players by our sport rather when if you look at our multi-sport athletes like Katie Taylor, actually it comes to their benefit. So like even if you go back to I'm going off for tangents, but the Parky Queeve is an example when we're doing the testimony for Liam Miller. The uproar and the actual carnage that I had to go through before Parky Queeve agreed to hosting a man's testimonial who died because of cancer was absolutely ridiculous, and it just makes no sense in this country why we can't work together more. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Yeah, it's a good point. To be fair, like you can't really say you're wrong and stuff. I do think it's a very interesting. I remember that Parky Creve crack with the whole thing. Was it not the Gaels like giving it like fuck that had to give it away to football, wasn't it? Like they were sort of looking down, like, weren't they?
Yeah, there was a big thing. I remember, wasn't it something like they said, "Oh, we'll give you the ground if you let there be a minors game on before it," and then it was just something really, really stupid. Where it was like, "Yeah, we'll give you the ground for free if we can have a minors game before it, and part of the funds that are raised will go towards the GAA minors." I was like, "That's not what we're looking for here. Like, we were literally looking for to have a football match here with a load of legends that are like a load of old lads that I've seen, Dennis Irwin, Roy Keane, Gary Neville, these people. Then it was an Irish 11, and it just didn't make any sense, or a Celtic 11, wasn't it? That it
Yeah,
just
Celtic.
yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense overall. Where it was like, oh well, we'll give you the ground if you let the hurlers play before you, but also part of the funds have to go to the hurlers. And it's like, that's at some stage in that debate, I remember putting on Twitter, I was like, I'd just rather have it um in Turner's Cross at this stage. Just have a game in Turner's Cross with that sold out. But like you look at it, we sold out Parky Grieve for a Legends 11 game. It says a lot about about the standards in Irish football and the Irish football fans that we could sell
You
out
bring
a gag round
it
in
back to
Cork.
Dublin. That if that ever happened, that many women that come over to Ireland, they get 40,000 a week, no problem.
Oh,
I believe
100%. Absolutely.
I believe that for every bit. Because if the thing is, the thing about that whole thing, MK got relegated. Well, Wimbledon got relegated. Sorry, and then they went up to Milton Keynes. They got
Yeah.
relegated. But like, imagine back in the day, the first division sides would have been Stockport and Grimsby. Could you see 40,000 coming to that for Stockport County, and if the Wimbledon and the Championship? Like,
No, not hope.
that's what I mean. It'd just be the big games. Your Man United, your Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea.
Yeah.
Like, it's a joke though how that would ever happen. It shows like just Irish football in general. You've loads of casual fans, and then I'd say the die-hard fans be the League of Ireland heads. I'd say that's how it's split. You've loads of casual. Like, you go up to Ireland games, you know yourself. There, if you, there's lads there that don't have a clue, that never been to a game in their life, and they'd look at you if you told them to fuck off, like on the pitch.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
No,
giving out. You get
100%.
looked at. That Ireland fans game, I was giving a fuck about. Like, I don't know who it was. I was giving a fuck about someone, and I got a look, and someone told me to watch me too. What the fuck? Watch me do?
I
I
was
say it's a fucking joke. Like,
uh, yeah, I was actually at the Ireland France game, and there was a moment that I think was it who was playing left centre back? Was it
it
John
would have
Egan?
been. It
Was
was
it Egan?
Egan. It was Egan and Collins playing centre back, and
No, we
then
had three centre backs. There was
you'd
three centre backs.
as well.
Oh, I can't think.
I can't
Yeah,
remember, but whoever was playing left centre. For the point of this, I'll say it was John Egan had the ball, a left centre back, and Coleman was in space on the right, but it was again like the Aviva pitch is fucking huge. Like I ref the game on the indoor pitch down at Abbottstown, and it was the biggest pitch. It's the same size as the Aviva pitch, and I was like, this is horrible. Like being able to kick a ball that far is ridiculous. Let alone it being accurate, and then let alone it get to its man without anybody getting near him. And say like, Egan had the ball, and the man kept going, switch it, and I was like, by the time he switches that ball, it's about 70 yards to Coleman at this stage. By the time he
happy.
switches that ball, Mbappe, who's the fastest player on the pitch, is going to be out on Coleman's toe like a light. And that's if the ball out to him is pinpointed to Coleman's foot. So like having people there that don't have a clue, it was just ridiculous. Like, and then he said he was going mad. He was like, just fucking switch it. And then John Egan played a brilliant ball into, I think it was Malumbi in the middle, and Malumbi turned and Ireland got away down the left. And like your man was just shut up. Like I was just, what is wrong with this? For like, yeah, you're right, Jack. There's a lot of people out there that haven't got a fucking clue about football, and like they go to Ireland games having just watched Premier League football, and they think, oh,
As well, actually, because after the game there was a few lads. I was in block 1-1-2, I think, or 1-1 there, just right behind the goals, like the singing section sort of
yeah,
thing for the youth boys and grade. And those lads, there was like old boys probably behind my left. There was a fella shouting, "We won Kenny out," we lost 1-0 to France. I know we're covering a lot of ground. We haven't been around for about a month. We haven't even been back since the international break. Ireland lost 1-0 to the team that got the 2 World Cup finals and probably deserved a point at the game when it comes down to the last 15, 20 minutes of applying a bit of pressure to them and bringing the game to them.
Yeah.
And the fans wanting the manager to go. If that's Martin O'Neill, you lose 2 or 3-0 there because you sit back and fight pressure for
That's a
90.
separate debate, to be fair.
I don't want to be getting into it now because
if,
that's too long. But
we've already. If you want to know our views on Martin O'Neill, go back and listen to the podcast that we had our hot takes. Because there's a few good ones in there, but anyway, Martin O'Neill ruined Irish international football.
I
But
just
yeah, I
actually
mean,
have one discussion if we have time. I don't know if
go
we're
ahead.
tight for time, are we? It's just about the plastic pitch debate. It's like, I know
Yeah,
Derry
it's just going to bring that up there.
Derry City got a thing off the council. It's more public, I think, because they have to be a council that they have to get a new pitch for next year. Either have to relay grass pitch to hybrid or update the AstroTurf, which is probably due to because it's a poor pitch, like a lot of injuries. Same with Oriel Park. I don't know what the story is with Dundalk, but I'd imagine if Derry are getting it, I'd say Dundalk are getting word in the next year or two as well to lift it. I don't think it should be in the League of Ireland anymore. I don't think the funds are that tight where teams need it to rent it out.
Yeah, well, see, like the plastic pitch debate is one it's raged on for years since Oriel Park got relayed. What, 2010 was it? 2009, 2010?
As long as it's 2005 or 6, I think.
Well, it was before, yeah. So anyway, this debate has been going on since then, and I'll be genuinely honest, as the one in the group that does, I play football regularly. I play for a team. I hate playing on AstroTurf. I hate playing. I hate playing on all weather. I hate reffing on all weather pitches. It's just not good for it. Like I reffed the game last Friday on Astro, and Saturday morning I was in agony. I could barely get out of bed. And again, like obviously, I'm touching on 30 now. It's my knees were in bits, my Achilles was fucked, my hips were bad, my back was sore. And like I wasn't doing anything more strenuous than I'd normally do if I was playing a match. And playing a match on grass, I feel fine. Reffing a game on Astro, and again, like it's just a lot of running. There's not a lot of twisting and turning or tackling or getting tackled. It's literally just running after the ball and making sure that you're keeping up with play. I was in agony after it, and it's just such a different type of pitch. It's a different, like, it's so different. It's not soft, it's not hard, but it's just not right. There's just something not right with an Astro, and I just don't like it. For me personally, I'd rather have a grass pitch, a rock hard grass pitch than an Astro that's been like higher specs, because I feel as though it does invite injuries, and it invites, like, I've seen more people get injured on Astro than I've seen on grass, and I've been playing football for 20 years, so it's it is something that needs to be looked at in the league. And I think you're right, Jack. I think you're very right. We need to go back to grass or a hybrid. A hybrid works as well. It's whatever. We just need to get rid of fully synthetic football pitches.
I think Windsor does the hybrid, but I think that has to get relayed every 3 years. So that could be a problem probably financially for smaller clubs, such as probably us now.
Possibly.
But like, even looking at the grand scheme of things, that Dundalk Derry game Sunday, I was up at it, and it was a good game, but the quality of football was poor. Like, because you can't do nothing on a bone dry AstroTurf pitch on a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Sunday where it got warm at night. I think the grass was watered down beforehand, to be fair to them this week. But like that grass is made for drying quickly.
Yeah.
And your water is going to be an hour before. It's going to be dry half an hour before kickoff. Like, it's just the fact, like, the unnatural bounces you get out of it as well is stupid. Like, you see some mad. It's nearly like playing FIFA. The ball just fucking does the weird bounces all over the shop. Or you ever see like the glitches or anything where the ball spins or something?
Yeah.
It's mad. I think like you don't get really a proper good game of football anymore in Oriel Park.
Yeah, it's very inconsistent, isn't it? The bounce, like one place it'll bounce right, the next place it'll bounce left, and there'll be the exact same kind of spin and power on it. Like, so, it's something that needs to be looked at definitely, because you're right. You can't play good football on it anymore. It's gone beyond.
I don't like the way that people make excuses for it though. Like, O'Donnell came out and blamed the plastic pitch for the injuries over. I think he said something. I didn't listen to his interviews, to be fair. I know he said something on the lines talking about the plastic. You saw Stephen Kenny, who was in that Dundalk job for the guts of 5-6 years, won 4 league titles. he never once came out and gave out about it. You just have to make the best of your personnel, which I was saying earlier on. If that becomes a water around the pitch, raking it, doing whatever you can just to have it in the best condition you can. That's the same for any aspect of any club, by the way. Like any ground, like that away side Noel, I know it's a shithole, but it should be cleaned properly. The
Yeah.
toilet should be cleaned. Even the main stand in the oil, I know that was a clip, and someone put up on Twitter before the season started saying it wasn't even cleaned out. There was bird shite all over like the where underneath the seats are and all. And it was clean to be fair and whatnot. But that shouldn't have to, you shouldn't have to expose a club's fucking, I don't know, the flaws sort of thing on the ground.
Yeah.
Like every league around ground, there's only 2 or 3 tip top conditions. Like even you could say the same for the likes of Broad or whatever. Like you can make the best at like the seats. Did you see the thing? I see the thing as well. If you hold a flame yoke, like one of these flame bar yoke,
Yeah.
to a
Yeah.
plastic seat, it like brings out the oil end of the plastic. It brings it out and makes it look brand new.
Yeah.
You really want to show that to a few teams to get the seats done. Just have it in best condition possible. That should be every club's mentality or a push. Just have the ground looking as best again. Like because tonight Tucker Park, RT2, Dundalk and Shells, like it's not going to look great. It's not going to look great. If you're looking at it from outside, you're just watching a random game, and you flick over to RT and say, "Oh, Shelburne and Dundalk watching," throw it on. The first thing they'll point out is probably the state of Tucker Park.
Yeah. True.
And that's what it comes down to. Like, and they're all right. Like, because if you watch any matches on telly, like the state of some of the grounds, and then you have Tala on the week before, and it looks like a championship ground.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. Yeah, 100%. It's frustrating, like because there's so much potential across the league. I think Bill has made the point numerous times. He's hammered it home so many times about the talent in the league that you see. Like you look at it, like we had, Killian Phillips with ourselves just as an example for this. Like he was playing with us for 18 months. He went over the Palace. He's absolutely smashing it on loan at Shrewsbury at the moment. He scored another goal at the weekend. There's so much potential in the league, and the likes of your Killian Phillipses and your Jack Burns, the Seamus Coleman even, like, they'd be more inclined to stay if the facilities were better and if the funds were better, and that's just the way it is. And the more you can convince someone to stay, then the more the quality will be across the league, and it's something that does need to be looked at. And it's possible. It's not like it's not an impossible task. It's not as if we're fighting a losing battle here. Like we've every possibility to get it right. They just need to be well up for it. And like I know we obviously flagged Damien Duff about his antics and things like that, but he was right on the like you bring. I don't want to bring the referees into this, but like see the way he was saying everything's being driven in the right direction. The standard of football is better. The crowds are better. The referees need to come with us. He's right about that, but also the facilities have to come with us as well. And that's
Everything has to keep on going up. Like if one thing's going up, everything should be going up with it. Like
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, Bill, what do you think anyway? You've been very quiet there with this synthetic pitch
Yeah.
debate.
Again, everything comes down to funding, and I'm the one who keeps saying bring in foreign investment, Chinese investment. There's an echo. Setting the partnering up with foreign clubs like I know Jack was in favor of the whole takeover but like if the investment and the funds aren't coming into the league from our association, alternative ways need to be found. And I feel the Sligo Rovers have done well with and the Bulls have done well with their Fano model, but like it has its limits and it can only go so far. So like until we keep going about and we look at develop our stadia and bring up the standards of the stadiums, but like and pitches, etc. But like so it all requires funds in this day and age. Where the funds will come from. Again, I personally would sell my soul to a few wealthy Chinese and American aristocrats, take my chances with them. I don't think that's the popular opinion, but like, look, I don't see where we have to look where these funds are actually going to come from. And okay, you can say on about increasing the FAI's spending and better managing it, but that would only go so far too, because where the league is and where the stadiums are in the country, we need a lot more than a little increase in FAI funding or Football Ireland funding to actually make any sort of difference. You could try, like, what did Jack say a week ago? before, like you could throw loads into Dundalk and it still make no difference to Royal Park. So where do you draw the line and where do you actually come to find some solutions? Because we need solutions.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting point though. I mean, like I was obviously the one on the fence of the foreign investment, um, the idea behind it and things like that. But it is something that needs to be looked at. I mean, you look at the what's gone on with Wrexham, the change that Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds have made to Wrexham is incredible. You know, they've fixed up the ground, they've fixed up the team on the pitch, and like that kind of investment, I'd be definitely for. I do have an issue with the unknown and this fit and proper test. Like, what is fit and proper? Because like there's a lot of people that are looking at the League of Ireland as a potential for crime and for match fixing and things like that because the funds are so low for the players. So they're offering players high wages to take the hit or to throw games. So it's something that needs to be talked about, but it is also something that we need to be wary about as well because it can go so wrong so quickly.
And if there's no perfect fix, but again, just because Dundalk and others have been burnt in the past through poor investment doesn't mean we should look down on all of our investment because, as we said, get the right investors. What's been done in Wrexham is unbelievable. Could you imagine if a quarter of that was put into every League of Ireland club? In fact, I think if you put all the money being put into Wrexham, if you just divide that across the League of Ireland club, you could still probably make a massive difference. Just shows the scales that we're on, and we're on a completely different scale to English football and the likes.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah.
like I completely agree. But again, as I say, you have to be wary about it as well. Like I'm all for investment in the right way, but I just don't want it to be like what happened in Athlone all those years ago when they were caught for match fixing. You know, when they had the goalkeeper that was letting balls roll under his hands, and it's one of those. It needs to be properly looked at. You know, the I remember it was a Fran Gavin was saying he had met the Athlone owners and they were good lads and they were sound and there was no issues and all this kind of stuff. And then it came out that they were dodgy, and he comes out then and goes the polar opposite and says, "Oh, this is an absolute disgrace. This is why we need to have a proper fit and proper test about who's going to be, you know, who's going to be taking over at clubs." And it's like, well, you're the one that said that you met them face to face. It's again, it comes back to driving standards across the league of it needs to be done right. It needs to be done proper. It needs to be investigated properly, and it can't be done half-arsed, half-cocked, and it just has to be done to the highest possible standard. It's just there's so much margin for error with this that if we don't do it right, there's no point in doing it because it'll just end up making us a laughing stock.
Yeah, I think a strategy for Football Ireland would be again we have to look at the proper owners test. So going away everyone and putting together a plan, a stringent list of rules and looking at other associations or what other
You
leagues
want to
do
debate that often.
to manage the fit and proper owners test and to put something correct in place. But then along with that, I think what we should do is create a delegation or a team of people who who have a PowerPoint or whatever and would go around the world or go on Zooms across America, China, anyone who listen, hold them open events and just showcasing a PowerPoint. This is what the league around thing. This is the potential. This is what you get, and try to kind of market the league in that way because just we need some sort of delegation. I think isn't there? Yeah, it's similar to NFL. Like when like you have there all teams have a salary cap. What you need to have is literally a marketing team of the for of Irish football League of Ireland that go around and sells not sells individual clubs, but sells the division and the branding of the league to potential investors. Leave the actual selling of the clubs to the clubs themselves, but the FAI Football Ireland delegation goes about and actually sells the product.
At the end of the day, it just all comes down to the same shit. Like I know Wrexham, that whole story's grand and all, But like, imagine the likes of Rob McElhenney or Ryan Reynolds. Imagine they bought like someone like Draw. I'm just gonna say Draw. Like all of the spotlight. I don't know the spotlight on the National League because of them. But like literally, look how many other teams are fucking have no money and don't have a crust. Like I feel like that's the wrong nearly. Oh, good owners, all right, but surely there's only positives for the club involved, not for the rest of the league. I think there has to be, if you're doing it, there has to be a salary cap. I think
But
the
I
salary
think
cap would
yeah, I get that, but I think if you look at the American model, like the Hollywood model, sorry, not the American, because we've obviously had American owners that have fucked up in the past, but the Hollywood model, if you bring in like a Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds, like say for example, you know, Will Ferrell decides tomorrow that he wants to buy a football club, and he goes, right, Ireland, I'll go in there, and oh yeah, I'll buy Drogheda United because they'll be cheap. They're part time. I want to make them full time. I want them to compete. Like, don't tell me that there's not going to be people from all over the world that would be interested in the League of Ireland for the simple fact that Will Ferrell owns a club there.
no, yeah,
That's
obviously, and I've done a documentary. That's unreal publicization.
but that's what I mean. If you look at it, like the game against Notts County a few weeks ago, that got more eyes on the National League than there's ever been ever before. So
ESPN. Did you see that actually? More. So that was the most watched game ever on ESPN. More than Champions League World Cup final.
that's what I mean. Like it's such a massive thing to bring in, and if you could associate, people watch things by association. Like, think about the amount of people that have started watching the Saudi league because Ronaldo's over there, or how many people started buying PSG jerseys because Messi signed for them. It's it's such a like massive like opportunity if you can get the right people in. Say for example, if you got a pool of American owners who are all big Hollywood actors, like say Will Ferrell decides I'm going to buy Drogheda, Tom Cruise says I'll buy Dundalk, um, you know, Bradley Cooper goes, you know what, I'll buy Wexford, you know, that kind of thing. If you could get that and kind of sell it to them and say, look, it'll be minimal amounts of money to yourselves. Do you want to buy this club? And you know, we'll run it for you, but we just need this amount of money, and you own it. And then,
sorry. The only positive
yeah,
thing
no,
is
no,
that if they fuck up Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds, they'll be hated and their name will be shamed. That's the only reason why they're in. That's why they're not actually fucking about. I think because it's such a
no,
big reputation.
I don't think they're fucking about. I don't think they're fucking about because they genuinely care. If like, have you watched any of their interviews in the last few weeks?
I watched all of the Welcome to Wrexham.
Yeah, but even their interviews in the last few weeks, if you look at what Rob McElhenney puts up on Twitter every week about it, he was even they genuinely like what they've learned about football is so much, and they've shown a genuine interest. But it is it's like a TV show, but it's real life with a TV show. So it's so important that they come in and do what Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds have done and actually do it properly. Run the club properly. Run it the way the fans want it to be run. Don't run it because the way you want it. Like, do the opposite of what Todd Bowley's doing at Chelsea. Do exactly what Reynolds and McElhenney are doing at Wrexham. It's that simple. Like, owning a football club is not that difficult. You get the right people in charge at the right levels, and then all of a sudden it'll work itself out because the fans will come to watch good football. The fans will come to watch success. The fans will go, and then you get a better sponsorship with more fans in the door, and you know you start getting more funds. You can start getting more tourism because look at the amount of people that go to Wrexham for a weekend away to go see them play football. If you
Mad
get
as well, 10,000 in a door on the game, like it's
a
mad.
non-league game, exactly. That's what I mean. If you could get that over here, like if you got a Hollywood owner, the amount of people that would go in and say, "Oh, do you know, I'll nip over to Ireland for the weekend just to go see the Drogheda match or the Dundalk match or the Pats match, or you know, I might get a chance to meet one of my favorite actors or my favorite singers." It's it's a no-brainer in that situation if they
Yeah,
do it right.
Yeah,
If they do it right, it's a no-brainer. But if they don't, then they can fuck off. That's the way I'd look
yeah,
at it.
no, look, yeah, look, and as I said, look, we talk about um people support local, but and again, I speak from the capacity of being a Manchester United fan. The reason why these clubs have Manchester United and like have this global appeal is because of exactly things like that. that like how did United attract all the Irish fans? They signed Roy Keane back in the day, Dennis Irwin, like
George,
so the Hollywood effect
George
would
Best.
bounce like that.
Yeah, exactly, and that's
Yeah.
I'd say if you walk down Hollywood Boulevard any day, you'd come across a lot of Wrexham jerseys. I'd say now,
I definitely think so. Yeah.
but that's what, like this is how, like, if you look at it, Man United signed, I think it's 2005, Saint-Germain, Dong Fangzhou. He played one senior game for the club and was fucked out the door, but they sold 1 billion jerseys in Asia. So, like that, United used to do it all the time where they'd sign one Asian player, Park Ji-sung being an example. They signed him on a cheap. He ended up being a huge player for them, but he was signed as a marketing ploy to,
Yeah.
sell more
Damn.
jerseys in Asia. It's that simple. But Cabin did it with Yuta Sasaki, who, by the way, fantastic player, absolutely fantastic player.
And he was bang average. Hang on, we were doing that. That Bill Holsizer, the one of the last things Peak Six done before they left. Him and Jim Gilton wanted to expand the club's market around the world and in Asia.
Yeah.
What the fuck did they think? Signing Han Jong-woo from a select division side in South Korea and expecting him to sell loads of jerseys is probably the shittiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Considering you can't print names on jerseys through the Dog website as well.
Yeah, that's a bit mad already.
you can't get a name on the back of the Dog shirt. I'm pretty sure. I'm nearly certain of that.
I don't think you can get that done in any league of hurling club.
Which should be brought in, by the way.
Oh, definitely, yeah, absolutely.
But then you see cleansing Andrew Lanigan with the Europa Conference League badges on the side of his Pat's third kit, and you'd be like, maybe they should.
No, they should though, because when you think about it, I could dress up as Gary Deegan for Halloween then.
Yeah, I could dress up as Colin Malley.
Yeah, exactly, twins. But yeah, I mean, look, I think we've covered a lot of ground with that. I think it is a very interesting topic, and it's something that does need to be talked about a bit more. Obviously, it's talked about a lot as it is, but it's still very interesting to chat about, and it's a good way to get back into the podcast side of things. But yeah, we are back. We haven't been forgotten. We'll continue our work on social media to try and build our own brand. And we'll, again, if there's any American owners out there looking to buy a podcast, we're well open to it. We need better facilities.
There's a lot of competition though.
But no, look, yeah, look, it's been a great catch up, lads. It's been a good hour's worth of chatting. But I'm going to go grab some lunch. It's been great talking to you. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you again next time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Yep.